Hello everyone, my name is Liberty. I hope you are doing well. Today I am going to present my presentation titled From Coin In to Cashflow, Slot Revenue in Nevada, for my Introduction to Gaming Management course. My interest in this topic of slot machine revenue stems from being an accounting major in the city that never sleeps, Las Vegas, Nevada, where gaming makes a significant contribution to consumer spending in Nevada. Without further ado, let's get into the presentation. In this presentation, I will be going over a variety of facets specific to slot machine gaming revenue with a focus on the Nevada gaming industry. As we learned in this gaming course in our lectures, casino operators are in the gaming business, not the gambling business. This quote is a fantastic reminder of the concept that I always grew up hearing, which was something along the lines of, Vegas didn't get this big on winners. Although this is a reasonable thought to have, it is important to recognize that the gaming industry is huge, especially in Nevada, and, as with any business, especially ones with immense profits such as the gaming industry in Nevada, there must be planning, regulation, and reporting. In order to start, I will first tell you a bit about the history of slot machine gaming. In 1894, the first slot machine, dubbed the Liberty Bell, was invented in San Francisco, California, by a man named Charles Fay. In fact, you can see a picture of the Liberty Bell gambling machine, which was coin-operated, on the slide behind me. Fast forward to 1975. This was the year where a video format slot machine, such as the pinball machine shown to my left, was introduced in Sin City, Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, have you ever wondered just how many slot machines are in Las Vegas? That figure, which is 149,498 licensed machines, is reported to and published by the Nevada Gaming Control Board on a recurring basis. The number 149,498 machines is as of December 31st, 2024. We will talk more about what the Nevada Gaming Control Board does a few slides from now. This wouldn't be a thorough presentation if I didn't talk about some key terms and metrics related to slot machines. Jackpots, which are arguably the best wins for players, are actually comprised of an accumulation of prizes that are not won. RTP, short for return to player, is a key metric calculated by dividing the total winnings divided by total bets and multiplying that result by 100 to get an average percentage. This percentage would roughly mimic the amount of a player's wagers that will typically be returned to them in a specific period. Now, we also have volatility. When it comes to volatility, also known as variance, this metric is representative of the model in which the random number generator powering the slot machine will hit, or in other words, pay out a player since they hit a winning combination. A good definition of volatility would be that it is a measure of risk and reward for a specific game, machine, or location. Now, I will admit these metrics are really applicable to players winning a bet, but it is essential to recognize that these percentages are meticulously analyzed by the casinos for various reasons, the most important reason likely being that this affects their bottom line. In the state of Nevada, at December 31st, 2024, there were 2,550 licensed slot machine facilities in the state of Nevada. Did you know that you can find slot machines throughout Nevada in various sorts of establishments such as pizza parlors, laundromats, golf courses, and more? Well, the list goes on and on as to types of slot venues, but I figured I would just list the more exotic ones. Another thing that is important to recognize as it relates to gaming revenue in Nevada is the notion that many other states have a lottery, whether it be scratchers or a Powerball. In Nevada, there is no lottery. This is because there is an intense debate as to whether or not having a state lottery, such as scratchers or even a Powerball, would take away casino revenue. Funny enough, I read an article the other day in which I learned that the state of Nevada is, quote, closer than ever, unquote, to legalizing a state lottery. This said, after some additional research, we have been close to this before. Nonetheless, as with both the lottery and slot gaming, overall odds vary by game, is the disclosure. So now that we have got the background down, let's get into the nitty-gritty of revenue. As I mentioned earlier in this presentation, Nevada has what is called the Nevada Gaming Control Board, or the NGCB. This regulatory body was established in 1955, and per the Nevada Gaming Control Board website, their mission is to govern Nevada's gaming industry through strict regulations of all persons, locations, and practices, and any related activities. The mission statement goes on further with, "We protect the integrity and stability of the industry through our investigative and licensing practices, and we enforce laws and regulations while holding gaming licensees to high standards." Their mission statement then finishes off with, "Through these practices, we are able to ensure the proper collection of taxes and fees that are an essential source of revenue for Nevada." In short, the Gaming Control Board is the regulatory body to which licensees must report their gaming revenue and related metrics to. The Nevada Gaming Control Board is essentially the key middleman between the casinos and the state to facilitate a smooth, mutually beneficial flow of money between that duo. It is important to recognize that the Nevada Gaming Control Board also publishes monthly, quarterly, and annual reports for the general public so that players can have a clear understanding of the gaming industry and its related revenues. Another really important aspect of revenue is how to actually calculate it. For gaming revenue, particularly gross gaming revenue, the formula is wagers placed less payouts. Now, this formula is different from the traditional accounting gross revenue formula, which would be comprised of the total dollar value of product or service sales, since with gaming, there is no actual product being sold. One last thing to note is that the gaming taxes paid by the casinos and license holders is based on the gross gaming revenue figures produced as a result of using the formula wagers placed less payouts shown on the slide. You may be wondering what the center point means by gross gaming revenue equals sales rather than profit. In the eyes of the general public, it may seem that high, impressive revenue numbers, such as the numbers in the billions as listed on the slide, are more of a signed, sealed, and delivered amount, but that is traditionally far from the case. Revenue and profit are two very different things, since gross revenue, including gross gaming revenue, does not consider expenses that include things such as salaries, advertising, comps, licensing fees, and everything in between. It is completely possible that profit figures would be significantly, I'm talking millions or billions of dollars, less than the gross gaming revenue, or any sort of entity's revenue for that matter, depending on the industry, entity, and situation. To put how popular slot machine gaming is into perspective, I have put two very large revenue figures on the screen. Over 36 billion, yes, with a B, in dollars, and over 10.5 billion, also with a B, in dollars. The smaller number signifies the amount of slot machine revenue for the period of January 1, 2024 to December 31, 2024, as reported by the Nevada Gaming Control Board's publications. Yes, slot machine revenue throughout the state of Nevada was actually, to get a more exact figure, $10,517,157,823. Now, to scale that gross slot gaming revenue from Nevada to the entirety of the United States of America, that scale of revenue is over $36 billion. Before I begin to wrap up this presentation, I want to explain for players that with slot machines especially, it is very unlikely that you will come out up on slots in the short run or the long run. And if you are thinking to yourself, it's all luck, that is not the case. Rather, it is important to recognize that when it comes to big wins, these sorts of things will be publicized. But in terms of big losses, you won't necessarily hear about that. Public information versus private information or internal information is very important to consider. Random number generators are the general mechanism causing a machine to win, and it's all up to chance rather than luck. Slot machines and their pay scales, their return to players, and their volatilities can be manipulated. Furthermore, payouts and statistics, they vary by machine, brand, game, and even casino property. So, all in all, to wrap up this presentation, if you are gambling, let it be clear that slots have the worst odds in the building, especially since it's all chance with no luck or skill. Another thing to know as a player is that income from the casino is not only taxed by the state to the casino, but it is also taxed federally to the player, since Nevada has no state income tax. For instance, in the state of Nevada, with a slot machine, if you win over $1,200 on a single spin or minigame, you will receive a Form W-2G reporting your gambling winnings to the Internal Revenue Service. Now, although you can take certain deductions related to gambling losses, they are limited to the extent of your W-2G winnings. So that's another thing to consider. If you win, you still pay. Lastly, please be responsible when it comes to gaming or gambling. Gambling can become an addiction one struggles with, and it is important to educate yourself on the signs of a gambling addiction and get help. There are many organizations and resources for any individuals who struggle with gambling problems. My final slide shown above is my resources slide. Thank you for all your time, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation. So next time you're in the casino, are you going to spin on a slot machine or are you going to try the tables? Bye.